Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plate Stack Chat at a much more reasonable time of the day for me this week than last week, but that does mean I can't blame my bad performance on it being close to midnight. It's lovely to see so many people already in the chat. That's great, and I realize we're a few minutes late, but hopefully it's worth the wait. My name is Jason CF Media, and if you want to know more about me, I was on a recent episode of the Glinton Things podcast where I discovered that for someone who apparently doesn't have opinions, I've got a lot of strong opinions. But that's enough about me, as this show is all about the guests. And once again, two fantastic people have kindly made themselves available. So let's bring them out now. First of all, we have a meme master who was not content with conquering the world of CrossFit memes, but also wanted to take on the trading card game too. And then, because it wasn't enough to play with his cards to see which athlete was win going head to head in a workout, he also had to create Fit Wars. He's also made the most appearances on Coffee Pods and WODs if we count every time he disconnected and reappeared as a new appearance. So understandably, I am a little bit concerned about today's show, but please welcome a man that a few people know as Nick, but to the rest of us, he is WODZombie.
Wow.
Nick.
Introductions are worth it.
Yeah. I think people just come for the introduction, then they can log off afterwards. That's all they want. Now, I just need to check. Is it Nick or Mr. Zombie? What do you prefer?
Oh, Nick. Nick is fine.
Nick's fine. I'm the same. I always say, Mr. CF Media is my father. That's the classic line.
Yeah. Zombie's a mouthful, so
yeah.
That's why
when
I prefer the first name.
Okay, we'll go with Nick or WOD, one of the two. Now, speaking of Coffee Pods and WODs, my next guest was a recent contestant on Around the Whiteboard, which is nicer than saying a recent loser on Around the Whiteboard. A man who worked for years for CrossFit as the director of marketing, but apparently that role is no longer needed. So, he was let go. Bad for him. Bad for CrossFit, to be fair, but good for us because it means he's got more free time. So he's agreed to come on this show. He is, of course, the owner of CrossFit Fairfield and most recently has taken responsibility for the age group quarterfinals leaderboards being down, as potentially CrossFit has some kind of alert in place that goes off if his name is too high on the leaderboard. Please welcome to the show, Keith Knapp.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome. So I saw your story, obviously, about quarterfinals. How did quarterfinals go for you?
I mean, I don't know. The first two workouts were great for me. After the first two, I was 107th age group. So that puts me in, contention to go into the next round. But I have a feeling after workout 3 and 4, that's not going to be the case. Those two were not as good for me as the first two workouts, but we'll see. Well, I mean, maybe we'll see if the leaderboard ever gets fixed.
If they ever show it. So a lot of people in the comments saying about the K is silent, so it's EFNAP. And I'll tell you what, I was ready to do an EFNAP or different variations of how we would remove the K. And then, as I said, I heard you on Around the Whiteboard. Pedro beat me to the joke, so I'm,
no worries.
I'll just be professional and call you
I love
Keith. I looked up and it looked like Nick's screen had frozen, and I was like, "Here we go, here we go."
No. It might.
Have you done any other live shows since that Coffee Pods and WODs one?
No, I did the one with Clydesdale, but I think that might have been before. So just the Coffee Pods and WODs one. Oh no, I did one with the Fluffy Duck, but it wasn't live.
Right.
And it was just as bad, probably worse. So
now,
yeah.
I mean,
so I was like, I'm gonna go to a place with Wi-Fi, and I was like, hopefully this is like the way to go.
Yeah, people are asking where you are.
Yeah, I'm in LA at a coffee place. It's not very nice here, but
no,
it'll work.
At least he's honest. Well, there you go. I find it fascinating because of all the stuff you do online. So like all the social media stuff you're doing and all of, I mean, obviously the memes, but then all the stuff you're kind of organizing as well. And then the fact that it's so hard to have a conversation with you on a stream is
well, yeah, because like if it's at night or something where I'm at home, my Wi-Fi is great. It's perfect.
Right.
But like right now, I'm at work. I took an hour of personal leave time, to do it. So it's easy. No kids running around screaming or anything like that. So, but the Wi-Fi at my office just is terrible for some reason if it's not like directly hooked into the computer. So it's been bad every time. So that's why I was like, I'll go to a place with Wi-Fi and just do it here. But yeah, it's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
Just make sure I don't get stabbed.
Yeah.
We're in LA,
Well,
so
if we see someone
bad.
creeping up behind you, we'll shout, or just keep an eye on the comments. They'll let you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have the comments shut off just because I already know.
Oh, you already know. What do you know?
Well, I already know how all the people I know, how they're gonna be talking shit. So
they're being.
I'll bring it up.
Hold on, I'll bring up a very nice comment. This is even before the show began. It says, I would never tell him to his face, but WODZombie is actually a really good dude. I haven't responded to that one, that you might be a good dude, but you're also running late. So, but now we understand why. Did you? So you mentioned kids. Have you got kids, Nick?
Yeah, two.
Oh, how old?
4 and 7.
4 and 7. Ooh. Keith, you got kids as well, right?
4.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Oh,
12, 8, 5, and 3.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's busy around here.
Yeah. That's
yeah, how do you have time alone to do this? I don't get
They're
it.
all at school.
There's no
They're
way.
at school.
So how old's the youngest?
He's 3. So he's home. My in-laws actually watch the kids while my wife and I both work. So
that's good.
They're actually out in the front somewhere running around, riding bikes right now, I think.
So you're at home at the moment. This is your sort of home office.
Yes. Yep.
So we're not in CrossFit Fairfield right now.
We are not in CrossFit Fairfield right now. It would be at this time. It would actually be pretty quiet right now. We have kids classes starting in about an hour, so it would not be quiet by the time this wraps up.
Yeah. So you're not planning to build like a studio there for all the media work you're doing these days?
I don't think so.
You're posting all the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think it's important, right? Like being a voice in the space isn't necessarily something I always like aspired to, but I feel like there is in a lot of ways a void of messages that are relevant for attracting audiences to the CrossFit that I love. So I think like the Forging Elite Fitness message has in a lot of ways been a little bit left behind. And there's like some of the true methodology stuff that I think is really important for gyms to speak to their members about. Doesn't always get a lot of limelight. So I figured the easiest way for me to put more of that content out for the members that I want to attract to my gym is just make it myself. So I'm doing some of that. And then I think I mentioned in one of my other posts that I'm starting to work with media launch as well, with Souza and Jay Vera, another colleague of mine from CrossFit, just trying to create some frameworks for affiliate owners to learn a little bit more about how to do some of this stuff themselves.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. It does seem to, I mean, it's kind of the whole media landscape like this. We just see this kind of played out. I mean, it's exactly the same thing like with quarterfinals, right? We're like, oh, we didn't see, why, you put on all these live shows for the Open and nothing for quarterfinals. And that is an opportunity for someone else to do something. And we saw that with what Savan was doing with Taylor versus the World.
Which was amazing.
Which was amazing. But then you've got this like bittersweet kind of, oh, it's so good for them that they can do that they can put it on. Right. And then you're just a bit annoyed that, well, why isn't everybody else putting that on? But then we're taking exactly the same kind of feeling with, there's all these great messages in and around CrossFit that have been developed over the years that people have really kind of, latched onto. Why aren't we hearing about it? Like, why aren't the right people talking about it? And like, yeah, it's great for you. There's an opportunity for you to jump in and be a voice saying these things.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, great. It's really nice to hear someone talking about that. And, it's good for you. But at the same time, you're kind of like, it would just be nice if we were hearing it from more than you. I really want to do a video on quarterfinals being the most boring part of the season. I just need to find the time to do it because I just think it's amazing that you've got like all these people that are like, oh, we've got these amazing athletes, and that wait until we tell you how amazing they were at quarterfinals, and you're like, well, yeah, okay, but might have been nice to see them, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the Taylor versus the World thing was amazing. And then it's also great content for Mr. Zombie here, because immediately you start seeing Taylor falling off the box and all of that. He's just watching. You're just watching this stuff with a completely different eye to the rest of us, though. That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, usually. And good thing too is like now people kind of get a sense for what I go for, and people send me things themselves. Like even like Kenneth, he'll send me stuff sometimes, and just good ideas and things that I might have missed, because I can't watch every second of all of those streams or anything, but I definitely pay as much attention as I can to what's going on with all of that. But it's endless material, endless.
Yeah. What do you like if you're watching the stream and something happens, do you like take a note of like, oh, 1 hour 15 minutes in, that's what I'm looking for? Because otherwise scrolling back through a 6-hour live stream looking for a 15-second clip is probably not pleasant.
Yeah, and depending on how good it is, I might just rewind right then and screen record it.
Oh, really?
And just have it right away and then just catch up. Depending on how good it is.
That's why you're the professional. Yeah. Because the problem is that I find, so like this video may never happen now, especially because I'm revealing it all now anyway, what it is. So then no one needs to go and watch it. But, I was listening to multiple different podcasts where kind of people from these camps were talking about their athletes and sort of why they're not showing anything. The problem is that I listen to it, so then so all I can do is like screenshot where I am on the podcast. Then I've got to go and find the video of it to then, and also like I'm out when I'm listening to it, so then go find the video is happening hours after the fact. And as you two, same for me. I've got kids, so when I get home, it's not that I can go, right, sorry kids, Dad's been at work all day, but there's some screen recording I need to do, so step aside. It's bad enough that I've come home and said, sorry kids, I've got to do a live show. But hey, I do also have to ask, because I'm assuming your family are very supportive of the CrossFit lifestyle, Keith, Mr. Knapp.
I guess in what way? Like in terms of like opening the affiliate for sure.
I guess the reason I'm asking is because I think what you're doing within CrossFit is very kind of, that's what we expect people to do within CrossFit, like opening an affiliate. That's the logical kind of, somebody who loves CrossFit, wants to do CrossFit, they open an affiliate. That used to be even more common. I'm so curious to know what Nick's family think about his sort of direction he's taken with CrossFit. That is, I'm gonna make loads of memes and just sort of, because that I think is easy enough to then be like, yeah, okay, you make memes, like that's not a big disruption to our life. I'm not checking the bank account because you've made some memes. But then you've started running with all these other projects, the cards, the Fit Wars, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of curious how, when I was on Clinton things, they were asking, about my family and kind of how are they with all of this. And so, still they're good questions, and ask it here for you guys, really.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, I'll jump in just on the gym side of things. Like, the family's been super supportive. Like when we were planning on, my wife and I were looking for a space to open a gym for almost 2 years. And it was always like, we wanted to find the right place close enough to the kind of community of people that we knew we wanted to join the gym. And it was just like trying to figure out when the right time and when the right space was going to open up, that we were going to do it. We've been coaching kids. My wife and I have coached track and field and cross country for almost a decade. We got 90 kids that we coach in our track team right now. So we love coaching. We love being around kind of the lifestyle of like that kind of lifestyle. So opening up a gym was kind of just a natural next step for us. And when we did it, they were all on board. And the kids love it. Like, it's a playground for them. We've kind of created an environment in the gym that makes it really easy for families to bring kids. And we've got kind of a playroom and keep it really easy for us to bring our kids when we want to. So yeah, the family's totally supportive. It's like where we hang out on Sunday afternoons. We like do family fun days, Sunday fun days with a couple of the families in the gym. And yeah, it's just part of the life.
How common is the like playroom in affiliates in the US?
I mean, it's maybe give or take. I don't know. Like, the couple of gyms that I've belonged to in the past have both had like areas where kids could kind of hang out. One of them had a dedicated room. One of them had a dedicated half wall where like kids could go behind the half wall. We have kind of, when you first walk into our space, there's like kind of a lobby area. And we've kind of coined it the family room. And so we've got like a couch and some chairs and a TV and a bunch of toys and all that kind of stuff. So kids can kind of hang out there and stay out of the way. We also have like a baby gate that we can put in front of the gym door. If there's little kids that are trying to come into the gym while we're in the middle of classes, we'll put that baby gate up. But usually kids are like, hey, we can see mom and dad from the door, and that's fine. We usually don't have to worry about it too much.
And the reason I ask is so, like, at CrossFit Bath, there's like a cafe and sort of a few benches and a table there. So there is an area where, yeah, like in the school holidays, someone maybe brings the kids and they sit there while mum or dad does a workout. And then when I went to these the different affiliates for the Open, week one I was at Dragon Athletics, which is Andy Edwards' box in Cardiff, and I was showing my wife some video that I'd taken there, and the very first thing she was like, "Hold on a second, is that like a little area for kids?" I was like, "Yeah, they've got like this sort of zone in the top corner that's all been put aside, and there's some kids' toys and stuff." And so, so when you said that, I was like, "Oh, I'd never seen it before, and now I've heard of it in 2 gyms." Okay, interesting.
Yeah, 2 of the gyms that I went to had kids room.
Really?
One of them was like a fully dedicated kids room that like locked from the outside. The TV totally
just lock
loaded.
the kids in there. Which ones survive come out. The thing is, like, my wife's always saying about taking, like if one of the kids is off and then it's like, oh, can we? So my son, I could go and he would sit there, no problem. But if we took our daughter, there is no way, if she sees people doing CrossFit, she is going to want to just sit and like do anything else other than go and swing on the rings. That's all she wants to do. And what's even worse is that she's done CrossFit Kids there. So it's hard to be like, no, you're not allowed to go there. Because you're like, well, I've been there. I've done that. I've used this stuff. And then you're like, well, no, but this is for the grown-ups. And she just would, there's no way. It would be too much. I wouldn't be able to focus on what I was doing because I would be so constantly focused on what she's doing. I mean, maybe I'm a bad parent. I don't know, but that's the reality. But my son, no problem.
I think that probably.
Sit there,
I think that probably actually makes you a really good parent. For you to be like focused on what your kids are doing.
Yeah,
and
maybe you're right.
A really great like gym member. Because there are certain kids with certain parents that have a harder time kind of staying in the space. Our coaches are really good about it though. Like all of our coaches have multiple kids. Our gym, we wanted to create a family gym. Like my wife and I, like we have 4 kids and CrossFit's a part of our life. We wanted to integrate that as much as we could. And we want to have members that want to integrate it as much as they can. So our coaches are really cool about it. Like it takes some effort to keep that, controlled, and the coaches have to have the ability. And we have like, not like gym rules, but if the class is going on and there's implements out, like kids aren't really supposed to be in the gym. So if you see your kid get in the gym, like, nope, get out. But we do have CrossFit Kids classes. So if they want to bring their kids before, like CrossFit Kids classes run right up into our regular classes. So if your kids want to get a workout, come do the workout and then guess what? You can do the workout now too, and your kids are too tired to come out and play on the rings.
Or too tired, or just ready, just like
or just ready. The ropes are already
running.
down. We're ready to climb the ropes. Yeah, it's good. But yeah, I mean, it's like it takes some effort to kind of control that. But we like it's a huge part of what we love about CrossFit is that everybody can get involved in it in some way.
Yeah, look at this sad note from Sarah Cooper. Says we used to have a hangout couch area. They removed it during COVID, and it never came back. I do think sometimes things like COVID were just a really convenient excuse for people to make some changes they wanted to make, and then be like, oh well, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's everywhere.
What about you, Nick? The family love the fact that you are all in on CrossFit now.
Yeah. Well, you know, my parents and everything, they know that I do it, but they don't really follow CrossFit or anything. And they're fine with it and everything that I do with it. It's interesting to them. But my wife is super supportive of it all. Because, I try to manage my time as well as I can. So, a lot of that stuff, once I get home and with the kids and everything, a lot of the stuff shuts off. Or like I'll kind of look at it, take notes and things for later. But like I try to not to let it be a distraction at home. So yeah, so it hasn't really become an issue or anything. So she's been really supportive of everything I've been doing with it, and we'll both be over there at semifinals, the NA West ones. And she does CrossFit, she loves it all too. So
See, I was going to ask that question.
We usually don't get to work out together just because of our schedules, but yeah, she's very supportive.
Oh, so it's interesting that she's going with you to semifinals. We were literally having a discussion about this yesterday. I was booking a hotel for UK Champs, which is in July, I think. And there was this sort of discussion of if she was going to come up or not, or what to do, because then you've got to think about the kids and all of that, and sort of she's like, should I volunteer to work at the event as well? And I was like, well, you can, but like she would have wanted to do like Friday and Sunday and then have like basically what she wanted to do is volunteer Friday and Sunday and then sleep all day Saturday in a hotel and not be interrupted by the kids. And I'm like, I don't think you can do that. I think you can do like a Friday Saturday or a Saturday Sunday or all three, but I'm not sure they're gonna how that will work. And also anyway, but
well, like it's driving distance for us, so like we won't be in a hotel or anything, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah, that's the only time I feel guilty about all of this is when I'm like and I think it is just because I know how much she would like an uninterrupted night of sleep. And so the fact that I quite often am just on my own in a hotel getting and actually the problem is I waste it. Like I don't get an uninterrupted night of sleep because I remember like when I was in Glasgow, I was there until Friday Night Lights finished, which was late. Then went out with Ian and Gav after. By the time I got back to the hotel, it was like 1 a.m. And then I'm like, well, I need to check the stuff I recorded because maybe it's all useless. So then you're like looking on the thing. And I then agreed to go to another affiliate the next day, and someone was coming to pick me up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'd have to get up, get ready, check out of the hotel, ready to be picked up. So Sarah Cooper's asking if I'm going to the Euro. So at the moment, no, I'm not going to the European semifinals, unfortunately, because it's not driving distance for me. It involves a plane, and I did actually, I filled out like a media application thing for French Throwdown. I never heard anything back, so as it was going to be awkward anyway, I didn't go out of my way to kind of follow it up. So I'm sorry now, especially as we've seen that what we all already knew, that Europe is an absolutely beast of a region. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on the fact that Europe don't get enough spots for the game?
You're asking the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking like this
Yeah,
is like
the people that are quite happy to have extra
They
spots.
should get one spot. I think they should get one spot. So
You already get one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that go to
Yeah.
the defending champ Laura Horvath? Does she get that one spot?
Maybe she could relocate to Tennessee like the rest of them. So it'd be fine.
Yeah. No, I think it's good though. It's interesting because I'm all for like the globalization of CrossFit, especially not being in America. Like for me, the more you talk about the rest of the world in CrossFit, the like I'm happy. And the more it becomes American focused, then I'm like, nah, we're going. That's the one thing of like going back. I like some of the old school CrossFit stuff, and when people are like, "Oh, I want to go back to the way certain things were," I agree with a lot of it. Just it needs to be a bit less American sometimes, because I'm like, that's there's the rest of the world, and then there's America, and it's like let's focus a bit more on everyone else. But when you look at the numbers and then you see like Africa and that, and you're thinking, yeah, okay, it's kind of annoying that they're getting these spots that maybe could go somewhere else to be used a little bit better. But hey, that's just down. Yeah, I know, un-American of me. But look, I allowed 2 Americans on the show, so I think that's pretty good of me.
It's great of you.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll fix the ratio next week. Yeah. Anyway, quarterfinals has come and gone, so that's nice. We didn't get to see really much beyond the Taylor thing. You both have kids. Are either of them? So you're running CrossFit Kids classes. I wanted to ask Nick if your kids do CrossFit Kids. So your wife does CrossFit, you do CrossFit. Are they doing CrossFit Kids?
No. My youngest son, he does. We don't. Yeah, because I go to the gym before work.
Right.
And the kids are asleep when I go. So no, they don't do the CrossFit Kids thing, but they're very active. They do the youngest one does baseball and then the older one does ice hockey. So we're always busy with all of that too. So
yeah,
very active.
Yeah, I mean it's. I almost feel like I think it's good for kids. CrossFit. I mean, my kids loved it. They're not doing it at the moment just because the time the CrossFit Kids class runs isn't a time that we can make it at the moment. But my daughter is always going, "When are we doing CrossFit Kids again?" I'm like, yeah, maybe next year once the schedule shifts a bit, we can do it. But I also think that like kids just playing sport and just being kids, they're already doing a lot of the stuff that kind of we have to do CrossFit to force ourselves to do. They're already climbing and squatting and doing all of these things that most kind of grown-ups have stopped doing. So I think if they're in sport and they're active, it's probably I think for kids the diet is the really interesting one. And like when you think of the kind of CrossFit mentality and that, because when you're a kid you can eat anything and get away with it almost. And that's dangerous, right? Like that's so actually my daughter, talking of her never wanting to sit still and having to do that, she just loves eating veg. Like she just wants to eat plates of like cucumber and peppers and stuff like that. So cherry tomatoes, things like that. So that's actually the whole eat your vegetables thing, no problem, solved.
Amazing.
But they also both have sweet tooth and want to eat all the cake and chocolate and everything. And you know who else really wants to eat all that stuff? His dad. But he's
of course
he's having to fight that. So my un-American comments have potentially lost me a member, but that's okay. Don't worry. I'll redeem myself next week. I'll say some very positive stuff. Actually, I mean, in my defense of the positions, when the post went up, a lot of people have been posting these stats about like first place and 40th place, and they posted it after the first 2 workouts, and Europe was like really 40th place in Europe was already like crazy high. And then and I reshared that, and somebody said to me like, I don't think, you know, it's only 2 workouts so far, there's still more to come, and this isn't the greatest sort of thing. But I actually said, to be honest, even the stats, wow, something big just drove past Nick. I was like,
Oh yeah.
Actually, I mean, even this stat, it's like a little bit skewed, because you could have a region where, like, this would never happen, but you could have the athlete 1 through 39 are also 1 through 39 in the world, and athlete 40 is 1000th. And those stats would show that, oh, the 40th place athlete, is in the 1000th place.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, but actually the top end is really dense there. So it's an interesting stat, but beyond interesting, it's, it doesn't go back and listen to every episode and then let me know. That's the answer to that question.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Because I'm the nicest man in CrossFit. Despite what people say about Rich Froning, I am the nicest man in CrossFit. Yeah.
No, Froning's the nicest chest in CrossFit.
All right.
That's what Froning is.
Oh, sorry, I've got distracted by it. When you start reading one thing and then you're reading the second one and you think they're connected, and you realize they're not connected. People are having different conversations. Oh, Barkley, people who post stats are nerds.
Yep.
From Barkley himself. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's good, it's good to know yourself, I always think. So the thing is that I'm like really not a stats guy. I'm almost anti-stats, especially within CrossFit. This will be a fascinating conversation next week, people. But I just think, like, the nature of CrossFit being unknown and unknowable, and the way athletes are, and the kind of unpredictability of everything.
Do it.
No.
No.
I'll refund the money. I think it was ages ago, on the old version of this podcast, we had Taylor on. Not Taylor, Tyler Watkins.
Watkins.
Tyler. Yeah. So, that I was really annoyed with John Young, kept messing up Taylor and Tyler on the broadcast, and then since then I keep doing it. He's like somehow penetrated my mind, and I'm like, oh, anyway. We were talking about like the stats on the back of the cards, and then we came up with this idea of like there needs to be like a heart stat, for kind of like how much they want it, or what else has happened that day that's triggered them for good or bad. Because I just think you can go into a workout with all the stats telling you that somebody's going to do really well, and then it just doesn't happen that way for a number of
I don't know, maybe it does happen that way, because I try to do the Heat 1 app and I always end up in 2000th place. So and I'm not a stats guy, but I bet you the stats guys are doing better than I am.
Well, maybe.
Tyler, he's insulting us.
Yeah. Well, I prefer Tyler's YouTube name, which is a much better name, which is Jason. So we'll I'm not insulting stats guys. Maybe I just don't have the brain for it. That's probably what it is. We used to have, Tom used to be on this podcast, and he was our stats guy. So we had our own stats guy. That was really useful, because I can then just pretend to be kind of, oh yeah. No. But I think that it's looking at, and what I mean by it is that it's good to look at other factors as well, because if you're also following, like, you're listening to them on podcasts, you're watching what they're doing in other places, you'll see other things are going on in their life that you're like, well, there's no stat to quantify how this could affect you. But I find that interesting, and I think, well, maybe the fact that you're a new dad and you're not sleeping is going to have an impact on your training. Apparently it's making them better, which is irritating, but because it didn't work like that for me. Yeah, I'm losing everyone today. Doesn't like the stats guys or the US. Yeah, this is why the actual like videos I do, I don't give my opinions. I just give facts.
I love it.
Because that's how I don't upset people. Anyway, will you be heading to any of the semi-finals yourself? Apart from potentially anything you're competing in, Keith, but
I don't think so. There's a potential that I might make it down to Tennessee, but I'm not sure yet. It kind of really depends on what happens with me on the professional front, because I'm still kind of in the process of looking for kind of what's going to fill my plate.
Right. I mean, you've got 4 kids. How big is your plate? Because
it's a fair point. Fair point. I mean, the biggest thing for me is like the opening the CrossFit affiliate was never really intended to be like a primary income source. Like that was always in a lot of ways, like a lot of affiliate owners are like that, right? They open the gym, they're passionate about it, they love it, they know they can do it. But it was never really intended for me to be a full-time gig. We right out the leap hired, a bunch of coaches, filled up our hours with those coaches, and created the kind of platform for us to be able to have that while I was still going to work a full-time job. And then when the full-time job ceased to exist, one of my full-time jobs became finding another one. So depends on, what my calendar looks like when we actually get to the time semifinals happens. I might make the trip down to Tennessee, might not.
The games?
I don't know. Not sure.
Would it be weird? I know, like Savan was saying about, like or I think Savan talked about it, and Dave's also spoken about like kind of going to the games but not having a role. Do you think?
So it's interesting because I've only been to the games once.
Oh, really?
I went to the games last year. It was the only time I'd ever been to the games. I only worked for CrossFit for a year and a half. Despite having been involved in the space for a very long time, I only worked there for a year and a half. So the first year that I was employed I started the week before the games, but was on a pre-scheduled family vacation the week the games happened. That was when Don got hired, and I'm sitting on vacation like, oh crap, I just started and they got a new CEO. I should probably be at the games. That would be really helpful. But I didn't go that year. I went last year and had, a role helping with kind of keeping the media folks, external media folks kind of corralled and
under control. Well done.
Under control, which I think worked really well. But I don't really have this preconceived notion of what the game should be like or what my role should be like there. So I think going as a spectator would be unbelievable. It would be a blast. In fact, it'd probably be more of a blast than working it. I'd probably have a lot more great conversations with people in the ecosystem that I have relationships with than I would have if I was working it. So it would be awesome to go back to the games. It really just kind of depends on what, again, like what my world looks like when they roll around.
Nice. Will you be heading to the games, Nick?
No.
Oh, good.
Maybe in a future year, but just like right now, I'm sticking to local. As long as there's something happening here, I'll just stick to that. So with this and Wodapalooza, I'll be good.
Yeah. With this and Wodapalooza, I mean, you've got 2 massive events there. So,
well, the Wodapalooza will be new, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think though that obviously what they've already got, because of what they've already got, they're kind of, it's new, but it's new, but
but it's built on a really sturdy platform.
Yeah. So,
and it'll be interesting to see what kind of athletes sign up for that too, because I think like they all like to take a vacation after the games, but I think if the prize money is close to where it is for those other places, there's probably going to be some big names still signing up because they like that vacation, but these guys can compete a lot more than they do. Yeah. And as long as that money's there, I can anticipate there'll probably be some big names going.
I wonder if, because what's interesting is when you like ask people kind of what event would they like to go to, or where, where would be a dream place to compete, and you're talking maybe to, not games athletes, but kind of a little bit down the tier. Wodapalooza always comes up because of it, just the experience. They'll be like, Wodapalooza would be an amazing experience being there in Miami, this and that. And I kind of wonder how that element will factor in this new event, because you're sort of, is it going to be as as much a draw as going to Miami and having like this amazing experience that's kind of an already known element of it, whereas this is still unknown. What's the experience going to be like for people that are there? But anyway, we'll see. All the best for them. I hope it works out.
Huntington Beach definitely isn't Miami, but it's a nice area. So
yeah, and that team I think is like, that's what they do. They create great experiences. Like they'll create a really incredible event that people are gonna want to come to. I'm confident in that.
Yeah. So I'm circling back around to something I asked earlier, because when I was talking about your family and supporting what you're doing, and then with opening the affiliate and stuff, I guess you said you'd only been working for CrossFit for like a year and a half, something like that. But was there any, you're going to open this affiliate and then you get let go from CrossFit? Was there any like bitterness there, or this idea of, well, maybe we'll just open a gym and it won't be a CrossFit gym, or was it like, no, it's still gonna, because obviously the way you've gone is clear that you're still 100% promoting CrossFit, the methodology. You're even on around the whiteboard, you're kind of referencing the L1, you're referencing articles from Greg from past years, so there's no doubt that you're all in on it. I just wonder, maybe not so much you, but maybe your wife, or maybe those that were kind of around you that are thinking, well,
well, it's crazy, right? I mean, this is like there's this, I don't know what is it Stockholm syndrome, where you feel like you fall in love with your captor, and maybe I have got a little bit of that, right? CrossFit, the methodology being my captor, and maybe that's in some ways like maybe there could have been different opportunities if I would have said, forget it. Like, we don't have to be called CrossFit. What's really interesting is our gym branding is just CF. So we could have easily been Community Fitness, or we could have been something like, it would have been really easy for us to be like, nope, we're going to just turn the button to something else. But like,
look who you're talking to. It's Jason CF Media for a reason.
Correct. Right. And so I don't know. There certainly has been, I was actually just talking to one of my former colleagues this morning. He was like, hey, how's everything going? And I was like, I'm kind of teetering back and forth between really, really excited and really happy and really pissed off. CrossFit just posted 4 new marketing jobs, right? I left. A month later, they hire a new CMO, which we knew they were going to be doing. One of the people that reported to me got promoted into a marketing director role, and they told me that they were going to move away from brand marketing and into product marketing, and the quarterfinals leaderboard doesn't work, so the products aren't working. How are they going to market the products? There's just like a lot of things that are really interesting about like what has transpired in the 2 months that I've been gone that make me like, in a lot of ways, really happy that I'm not there anymore. I love CrossFit, the methodology, CrossFit, the company. I'm not super in love with at the moment, right? But that's not going to change that. I believe that constantly varied functional movement executed at high intensity will change people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's interesting, because when I look at like what you're doing and everything you're doing, because I'm like, well, if I'm looking from the outside in and I'm not involved at all, then I'm thinking, well, there must be something to this CrossFit, because it's weird that they treat you this way and you'd still be kind of singing the praises of the methodology, and you'd still be, so in, and with the affiliate. And then we've already spoken earlier about kind of the media side of things that you're trying to do and promoting it more. And that's what gives you kind of pause to think of like, well, there must be something about this, because otherwise, why wouldn't he just turn his back on it immediately? So, but it is frustrating when it's funny what will wind you up when you see kind of,
Right.
I mean, and like on a much, much smaller scale, I remember just suggesting an idea, or like I was talking to someone about, oh, I've got an idea to do this thing, and getting told by someone like what a bad idea it was, and then turning around, you know, a week
And they
later, seeing them
execute it.
doing the exact thing, and I was just like, are you kidding me? So I kind of get that. What is happening, Nick?
What?
Yeah, is there a train there now as well? What was that?
It's trucks going by. Are you guys hearing all of that?
Not all of it.
not
Every
all of
once
it,
in a
but
while, you get a really
yeah.
loud roll by that we hear, but not all of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I had a question for you, Nick, and now it's gone from my mind. Oh, because I wondered about, like, similar with you, Nick, if you have any kind, because obviously, you know, and it's a similar thing. Like Pedro's spoken about, like what happens with like the fake news and how, you know, certain people just get very upset or don't find certain things funny, and obviously that's kind of your whole shtick, is putting out, you know, oh, this happened, and here's, you know, a commentary on kind of it, and it's, you know, it's fun, it's a joke, it's for laughs. But have you had issues with people kind of getting very offended or upset with stuff you're doing? And if so,
Oh yeah, all the
like,
time.
and all the time. So
All the
it's
time. Yeah.
rarer
There's
when they don't.
always people going to get offended. It was worse off at the beginning. Well, I wouldn't say at the beginning, maybe just like at least a year ago. But now I think most of the people that follow the page are kind of used to it. But yeah, I've been blocked by all kinds of people, especially Danny Spiegel, for sure blocked by him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there's always people that don't take offense to it. But I try not to care. There are certain times where like I'll censor myself a little bit on things, or I just kind of know what's going too far. But yeah, I get all kinds of DMs of people just going crazy over some fake headline, you know,
Is that
or
the
people
biggest?
who think it's real and asking me about it.
So is that the kind of the biggest thing that raises like issues then, the evening wipe down stuff?
Yeah, usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's.
I'm sure you guys had to hear that.
We definitely heard that one.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's the fake headlines are the main thing for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if I think they're I was gonna say maybe they're my favorite thing. I'm not 100% sure if they are, but I do really enjoy those. Like that, I think maybe that's maybe more my. But I think I probably enjoyed them the most because I know, like, the real headline, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
I understand what you're parodying, and so I see it and I think, oh, that's very clever. But a lot of people just don't, you know, that's the only headline they see, and then they're upset. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I see. Dying now. Okay. Interesting. Have you ever, like, retroactively then deleted one, or has someone ever like messaged you and said, oh, actually this was a step too far, and then you've thought about it afterwards and been like, maybe that was too far and I'm going to take it away? Or is that like you double down if they...
I had thought about it one time and I sent it to someone and they were like, oh no, it's fine. And that was it. That was good enough. It was the Danny Spiegel Maui fire one. You know, how she made it about herself using the Maui fire headlines to make it about herself. And so like that one, you know, I thought about it for a minute, but I just stuck with it, kept it up there. But yeah. But no, most of them I'm pretty comfortable with. And if I'm not, like, I'll send it to a couple people and be like, hey, is this too far? And they're like, no, you're good. And
oh, I'd love to know the people you're sending it to that you're going like, oh, is this too far? And they're people that are probably taking things further than you anyway. And they're like, no, this is tame.
Yeah, I can't tell you who those people are, but they're good people.
Yeah. Well, because it's saying never back down. I don't think he will. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no, because I have no, like, I'm not like how Keith, you know, he's got an investment in CrossFit. I have none. So if it all disappeared tomorrow, it's I got other important things in life. But I do love it, and I do enjoy doing all this stuff with it. But if I've no investment in it really yet. So,
Well, I
let
mean,
it roll.
you say that, but then you're doing the memes we've mentioned, the trading cards. So should we be expecting a kind of a new drop of some cards coming soon?
Yeah, very, very soon. Like I don't even know if he really wants us to know, but Barclay, who was in the chat, he's doing the stats for a lot of the cards and was helping with the designs. So we just wrapped one up that's on its way, and then we already have I have a list of athletes that are kind of waiting on one. So we're gonna have a bunch done here very quickly. So yeah, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot more coming, a lot more. And you know, that is funny you mentioned that, because that is one of the things like that now it's like, okay, well, do I have to play nice with people to, if I ever want to make part of them? But I kind of like I thought about that a bit, and I kind of just pushed past it to where it's like, hey, if you can't handle a little bit of joking, then you don't want a card, then that's fine. Well,
Yeah,
there's plenty of other people. So,
but I mean, this is it's the whole. I mean, I find a similar thing with like people appearing on podcasts and shows and stuff. Because it's like I'm, you know, as the master of sitting on the fence in the middle, I'm really trying to like make sure I'm having guests on from everywhere, right? Like I'm not favoring one group or one thing. I want that anyone can come on here and we can chat and it's fine. Don't worry about it. But I already know there's going to be people that will just be like, well, you had Hiller on, so I'm not coming on. And then you're like, well, but that's not good for you. Like, that's not punishing him. Right. That's hurting you. And I just think, like, with the cards, like, and this might upset some athletes, but I still strongly believe that in the current state of CrossFit, you basically are half athlete, half influencer. That's true.
That's true in any sport, though. That's true in any sport. I mean, if NIL hasn't taught us anything,
that's true.
Like, if you're an athlete, like most of your revenue, if you end up making it big someday, is not coming from your sport, regardless of what sport you play. Right. So like in a lot of ways, that's true for people in business too. If you really make it successfully in business, a lot of your revenue isn't only coming from your regular job, right? It's coming from all kinds of other things. So, man, you want to make a card about me, make a card about me. If you want to put me on a meme, put me on a meme. Like, I'll take all of it.
Well, because it's just that it's great is now everybody's coming in with percentages on how much more influencer it is an athlete. I mean, I made a video so long ago about whether it was better to be good or popular within CrossFit, and sort of the opportunities that it was affording people. And obviously the answer was to be, both, because you have someone like Tia, incredibly popular and really good. But then you can look out and you can be like, well, look, this athlete's had multiple appearances at the games. And actually, I think the examples I used were like Turiel Gadote, who has done, been a really consistent athlete, done really well, been to the game so many times, compared to like Danny Spiegel. And when you looked at like the stats of the two of them, you'd be, and this was a little while ago. I think actually Danny's done a lot better in the last, since that video a few times. But it was kind of like comparatively on opportunities that they've had and on social media, so it's just like night and day. And then I think it was like Willie George and Zach George was the other example I had, like from UK, and then like Zach's never been to the games, and yet he's appearing on the cover of Men's Health magazine,
and he's a gladiator, right?
Now he's a gladiator, yeah. So so I think it's, but going back to my point, it's like, surely if people are getting cards of you, that's good. Like, that's only good. There's no negative to that. I mean, and I can understand that someone might be like, oh, it wasn't nice being in a meme. Like, I don't want people to talk about me in that way. But on a trading card, like, that's a classic. I like it. That's just facts. It's like, here's your card. This is your name. That's your name, right? That's a picture of you. Yeah. These are some stats about you. They're correct. Brilliant. Now people will see them. They'll be talking about them. That's good for you. oh yeah,
Yeah.
but I was featured in one of his memes the other day, and I didn't like that. It's like,
People got to learn how to laugh at themselves, man. Like their memes, they're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
character assaults. It's just like people got to learn how to have a little more fun in life. I feel like there's this weird, like even with the reaction to like some of the stuff that Hiller puts out, like, man, just like enjoy the fact that you got that somebody was paying enough attention to you to like recognize it in the first place.
Yeah.
And like, look at what, I mean, the perfect example is what he's doing right now. I mean, he like made a blast video on Bill, and now he's spending like an entire week at the dude's camp in the middle of the woods, like covering him nonstop through the quarterfinals. Like, just accept the fact that people are allowed to say things about you. And if they're true, then accept them. If they're not, then respond.
Yeah.
Simple.
I guess
Versus just like holding a grudge. I feel like there's so many grudges that have to get held in weird ways, and it's bananas to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and then there's sort of I'm intrigued to know within the athletes if there's as many kind of like cliques and camps that exist as within sort of other areas of CrossFit, where you've got people being like, oh, because I know that there would be athletes that would be like, you had Hiller on, so I'm not speaking to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's crazy because, why?
Why?
But I would be really interested to know if there's like athletes that, oh, you had this athlete on, so I'm not coming on to speak to you. Because I feel still the athletes are a bit more hidden. Like you don't know what's going on as much behind the scenes. That's what this is all about. That's the whole idea is get multiple people.
I mean, I'm sure there are, right? I mean, there's even like little things like that in the media space where there's people that are like sometimes on the same podcast together, and then they don't actually talk to each other behind the scenes because they can't stand it for whatever reason. They're just like, they can't figure out how to get along. So, and that's fine. Like sometimes people aren't going to get along with each other, but figure out how to play nice. Yeah.
I mean, that like any other job, you don't like everyone, or like, when you send kids to school, it's like, oh, these are my friends. It's like, well, why are they your friends? They're your friends because you're all stuck in the same classroom all day. And given the choice to go and choose your friends, you're not picking any of these people, but it's just proximity. And then you go to like work in an office, and it's sort of a similar thing. You're like, these are the people I work with, so I make do. It's the best of a bad bunch, and they'll be my friends. And you might not like them or agree with, what they feel on certain things, but hey, you got to work with them. And then as soon as it becomes something like this, where it's a little bit more, I guess, optional, like you don't have to do a podcast, you don't have to be on a show, then suddenly people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to do it because I don't like that person. And you think, well,
crazy.
It's all, it's all good for you.
Hurting yourself.
Oh, who got blocked?
Travis
got blocked.
Oh,
yeah.
I've got to get Travis. Travis, when are you coming on? Send me a message. Come on, we'll dig deep into all of this. Oh. Personal and business accounts both blocked. Oof. Aye. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, most people have been pretty receptive about the cards, though. They've been pretty nice.
Yeah,
for the most part. Yeah.
No, I mean, I it would fascinate me to know if somebody had an issue with a card and why. Like that would, I would just can't. Do you know what I mean? Like I could not wrap my head around that. I can understand the podcasts. I can understand to a degree. I mean, I disagree with it strongly, but I can understand it. And also on this point, while I'm on my high horse, I will also mention, like, if you've got a problem with like me having Hiller on, then this is the ideal platform to be able to discuss it.
Right.
Because it's not just a me, like, come on and call me out and say, well, I can't believe you had him on. And I say, well, why not? It's like, I can't believe you had him on. If you listen to the episode, we even discussed the fact that I said he was bad for CrossFit.
Right.
So he's happy to come on and talk about that. And I said, well, go re-listen to the thing. I'm pretty sure I did say he's bad, but not in the way that others mean, like, you're bad for CrossFit. It was more nuanced than that.
And I mean, I think when people are willing to just have the conversation, like, you're always going to end up getting to a better place, right? I mean, a really good example of that is like when, and this was like Hiller actually had some things to say about like Andrew Charlesworth, who's a really good friend of mine, one of the affiliate reps at CrossFit. Awesome dude. He and his wife Jen just had a baby girl, so congrats to them. But they had some things to say about each other, and like instead of just like being angry about it, they just jumped on a conversation, had a conversation. They broadcasted on his channel, and like it was awesome. Like the whole community got to see that. They got to get both sides of the story. I think both of them agreed that like, oh yeah, I might have been a little bit wrong here, I might have been right here. Like if we don't have conversations with people, like that's one of the things that, you know, I think we talked about the COVID couch before. There's also this like post-COVID, like can't talk to people thing.
Yep.
And like, that's how ridiculous is it that we can't just be adults and have conversations. You just take somebody's word on a podcast or word on a YouTube video is like gospel, that they're all of a sudden a bad person or that they can't be trusted. And I think that's like, for some reason in this space, in this CrossFit space, that continues to be like a really toxic reality, that like somebody says something and all of a sudden they're like chastised forever for like they're cast out from the whole community. And it's like, that's ridiculous. Like, what can't we just like, what do they actually mean by that? Let's just have a conversation about it. Yeah, I feel like we should do more of that. And I think conversations like this and platforms like this are awesome for that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons what, like, you know, with the videos I do where it's kind of all very fact based and I'm not giving my opinions, whereas on here I'll be more, you know, I'll give more my opinion, is because it's a discussion. And if you give an opinion and somebody can say, well, actually, you know, I think you're misinformed or I disagree, you can then have a back and forth. So there's a lot of like, I'll never post something kind of on social media where I'm like, here's my opinion on this, because you're only reading it and you don't, I mean, it's like the difference between a phone call and a text message where you can't read tone or you can't understand what's, you know, and I write a message and I'm like, well, clearly they understand this is, you know, a very fun little joke that and they read it as deadly serious. And it's like, oh, I can't believe you. And then you're like, no, but couldn't you hear my witty tone as I was? No, you read this in like a really somber. Okay, I understand. Nick, I know you're gonna have to shoot off soon because you you've taken time off work, which is great. I appreciate that.
It's fine.
But I want to ask about Fit Wars before we go any further, because are we going to see more of that? Is there stuff coming? Is that on hiatus at the moment, or?
Yeah, it's a little hiatus. You know, I was trying for a while, and that one I got turned down for more than I ever have with any cards, just because I think a lot of athletes don't like to put themselves out on the line like that. You know, Colton's like the rarest person in the world to where anytime, anywhere, he's game. That's literally what he messages, like, hey, anyone, anywhere, anytime, I'm ready. So he was pretty unique in that. And there's been a couple, but it's a lot of scheduling things. But hopefully now with you know, with like after Taylor versus the World, that people will see kind of the value in doing these little one-offs, you know, because it doesn't hurt anyone or anything, even if you lose. And like for Fit Wars, we had a prize for the loser too, just so it just kind of everyone makes it out with something that they're already doing, which is working out. So so I don't know. I think I'll probably try again, but I'm not exactly like dead set on it, just because other people are doing it now. So it's happening, which is all I really wanted. I never wanted to do it from the first. I wanted someone else to do it, because I don't have a YouTube channel or anything. So
no, I think I remember you talking about like after the first one, that it was sort of a throwaway line that Savan had said on a podcast that you just kind of kept dwelling on, and we're like, oh, actually, I'd love to see that, and that would be great. It is funny, isn't it? I you know, again, realize that I am not an elite athlete that is making a career of this, so of course it's easy for me to be like, oh, I mean, who cares if you lose one-on-one workout? Like, that's, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing, but obviously for them there is, you know, but I mean, it's going back to the quarterfinals thing. I just, it fascinates me that we're afraid to be seen doing what we're supposed to be, like what you're supposed to be doing. And then I mean, my my thought on that is like, if you're worried about how you look during quarterfinals, considering how competitive some of these semifinals are, I mean, it doesn't sound to me like you're going into semifinals incredibly confident that you're nabbing one of those few spots.
Yeah.
But
and you know, and a lot of the people, they were like, a lot of the rejections I got were like, oh, well, we got to see what our training looks like because we're training for this, training for that. And I don't know, like same as you, not an elite athlete. I couldn't know less than I do about that, but it's a single workout. So like, how much of a wrench is that really throwing in your training for a single workout? I think the one that Colton and what's his face did, it was like 9 minutes. Scott Tetlow. It was like 9 minutes or something.
Yeah,
took almost nothing to set it up. So I don't know. You know, you could definitely tell it was more of an ego thing than anything else. It was just like they're kind of worried to put themselves out there. But like I said, hopefully after all of the events that have happened recently, that people just kind of like, oh, any exposure is good exposure.
Yeah, which again, like this, and that's the other thing with the quarterfinals thing that I find fascinating is, like, some of these people, this is going to be your highlight, and then you're going to make it to semifinals, and you might go for an entire semifinal, and your name never gets mentioned once. And so it's like, well, wouldn't it have been good that people could have kind of fallen in love with you during quarterfinals and then cheered for you at semifinals? And then when you didn't make it, they'll be cheering for you through the year, hoping that next year it's like, this is a year you're going to make it. And there's all these missed opportunities because it's like, well, we don't know. You know, I mean, like, you think about the kind of spotlight that's been on Taylor. Now, obviously, I think we all knew who Taylor was, but there's probably lots of people that if it wasn't for, Savan, they wouldn't know who he was, and he would turn up at semifinals, like crushed at semifinals, and people be like, oh yeah, who's this person I've never heard, kind of thing. And whereas you're like, no, now you've got this whole backstory that going into it. And I can kind of just imagine that multiplied across all the semifinals, all the athletes, and so just like any opportunity where we can watch them do something and watch something that's not just like curated by their training camp or their media person or their thing, where you're like, yeah, okay, it's, these are great fast cuts and lots of great facial expressions and that, but it's like, it's not real. It's that's anyway. I think it's great what you're doing. If there's more, amazing. I look forward to seeing them, but I can understand that it's not a high priority for you to to do this for them.
It would have kept being a high priority, but once other people started doing the kind of live online events, it's like, okay, like someone's doing it. That's all that matters.
Yep.
You got anything exciting in the pipe coming up at CrossFit Fairfield? Any kind of in-house comps or charity fundraisers, or I don't know?
No, I mean, the biggest exciting thing for us is that we're just growing. Like we're not even full 2 months into having doors open. Yeah. So it's like we're still trying to figure out like in a lot of ways, we're still building like systems and processes to enable the gym to run really smooth. One of the cool things that we started, one of the things that I wanted to do from day one and that we do is every single Saturday we have a community class. So it's a free community class. Anybody can come in our small gym. That made the cold months really, really challenging because we had a couple classes where we had 30, 35 people there doing, wall balls and burpees. And it's like, we only have 2,400 square feet. So that gets really tight really fast. But we've got some plans over the summer to do some like really cool. We're working with the city to do some workouts in parks and some things like that. So hopefully over the course of the next couple of months, we've got like huge events that we're going to throw with like the city, and got some folks at the school board that are interested in helping getting some of the younger athletes out for like track workouts and things like that in the summer. So we're excited about that.
Honest. So when I mentioned that when I was up in Glasgow, I went in the morning to another box that just opened. So they just opened, and it was there, and they'd literally, I think they'd kind of only even done like a soft opening so they could do the the open.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we did.
Open. But they do a similar thing on I think it's also on a Saturday that they're doing like this. And he was telling me about that, and I hadn't. Again, it was a thing that I kind of hadn't seen other people doing, and now here you go doing the same thing. Where it sounds like a great thing for the community that you can kind of just come in and have it, and it's good for you. Like it's win-win, right? It's good for them. They get a taste for it, and then if they get a taste for it, they might want more.
Correct. And like we know like the city that we're in, like there's a bunch of people that would love to do CrossFit that just straight can't afford it. Like there's no like ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like there's a lot of people that can't afford CrossFit. Like, and that's kind of okay. But that doesn't mean we should be like exclusive and not include those people. So the easiest way for me to include those people is say, hey, every Saturday, like come on in. Like you can still be a part of our community. You can still be a part of this movement. You just don't have to pay anything for it. And that creates goodwill, that creates eyeballs, that creates people that have done the thing and they're talking about the thing out. And maybe somebody that can't afford it hears that message and can come in. But like it's really hard to always be serving like a portion of the population that I think every CrossFit box for the most part serves that population, right? Top 20% of household income or something like that. In the context of a community class, I can serve everyone. So I've got like last week we had a bunch of kids from high school that came by for the workout. Like they're not paying. They work out at the football gym during the week, but on the weekend they can come and do this, have a good time with their friends, and enjoy being part of the community.
Yeah, and I guess if they do it, let's say they go a couple of weeks, or let's say they do 2 months, they go over this. That's 8 workouts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they're different workout each time they go.
Mm-hmm.
And now even though they're going to their high school gym or whatever it is or whatever they can afford to do, they can just be like, oh, do you remember that workout we did the other Saturday? We could kind of do something similar. So they can start doing CrossFit themselves and then being more comfortable with that. And then perhaps the idea they get that bit of coaching when they're there with you. So they get some feedback on maybe what they, how to adjust something or what they're not doing that well. And then they can take that with them and do, some online programming, find something, .com workouts. There you go. So not even paying for it and just following that. And then
100%.
I think that's a great middle ground. Like that's very good. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's good to just have that awareness. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and they're getting exposed to things that they're not going to get exposed to other places. Like they're going to get the eat meat, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. They're going to get constantly varied function, move, and execute at high intensity. They're going to get consistency, mechanics, consistency, intensity. Like they're going to get all those things. They're going to get how to execute clean. They're going to get how to do a squat well. They're going to get like all those things that they're not going to get somewhere else. It's going to take them longer to get like the full IV drip into the veins of the Kool-Aid, but they're going to eventually get the dose.
And I think that's sprinkling the Kool-Aid on them as they walk through the door.
Exactly. We're just like, it's holy water, right? We're just like dripping some of the holy water on them.
I just love how you can rattle that off. Like it's just clearly it's not the first time you've said these phrases to people.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this for a long time. I started doing this in 2008, and like, I'm not even kidding you. Like this manual sits on my desk. Like I love this book, the L1 manual. Like it's not, I don't just pull it out for fun. Well, I mean, I do pull it out for fun. I love reading it, but I don't just bring it out for podcasts. Like it's always on my desk.
Yeah, I just love the idea.
It should be the Pledge of Allegiance for CrossFit employees.
Dude, it should be the Pledge of Allegiance for kids in school half the time.
Oh yeah,
Imagine if our kids actually got exposed to those ideas at school. Holy cow, we'd be in a better place as a society. That's for sure.
Well, I just like the idea of you with your 4 kids, and you're like, all right, come on, kids, bedtime, gather around for a story. Daddy's gonna read from the L1 manual again. And you're like, oh, excited.
I love it. Yeah. It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house. Yeah.
They were squatting below parallel because that's really good. Oh, sorry. Amazing. I do like that. Previously, Nick, I just saw you covering the mic when clearly a siren was.
And I just realized there's a mute button there, so.
All right. Yeah. No, we like it. We like the. I feel like I'm
sound effects.
I'm out. There with you.
Yeah, it's muggy today too, but it's normally pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, that's probably the thing that surprised me the most is how grey the sky looks. I was like, oh.
Yeah. It was like 86 degrees yesterday, so it was really nice. But today, not so much.
Yeah, hey. Again, look who you're talking to. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm over here in England. Like we had a blue sky a couple of days ago, so I don't expect to see it again for a few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
It's hiding now. Yeah. Okay, great. So you just got an affiliate growing. We've got cards dropping soon. I saw in the chat people were asking if there's any dates, but I don't think there are any dates yet.
I would say within 2 weeks. Once I get my hands on them and they're exactly how they're supposed to look, then within 2 weeks, I'd say.
Within 2 weeks, yeah. I've got the. I was actually gonna. I think it's on my. I can't reach it. It's around the other side. I've got the aerial.
And it's a big
lower.
name. Big name.
Is that a big name? Now, is that a big name as in a big superstar, or a big name as in just a very long name? In which case, we can probably narrow some of the
shorter name, very superstar, I guess we'll say.
Oh, superstar.
Performed very well. Could try, but there's so many athletes. I don't know.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
The font
there you go.
The font is large. Barkley gives us the large font cue. All right.
Yeah. The best thing would be like, what if anyone in the comments can guess who it is, they win, and then Barkley's just like, I know exactly who it is. So
I've been driving Barkley crazy with different designs and stuff. So he's a trooper for sure. Like,
okay.
Changing the design every day.
Is it a male or female athlete?
Male.
Male.
I'll give you that.
He'll give us that. Come on, Keith. Male athlete, superstar. Have they already? So it has to be someone that hasn't been on a card already.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
I'll give you that too.
Now I don't know enough to know who's not been on a card. I'm trying to. I've only got the aerial card. Cool thing. That's the only one I've got.
Is all that?
Dallin's been on a card already, hasn't he? I'm sure I saw a Dallin Pepper card. Yeah, sorry.
That was the cool thing about the Taylor versus the World is like all those people have been on cards, except for Taylor. But I've been bugging him about that. So.
Okay, well we can eliminate then all of the people that so it's not Hopper, it's not Colton, it's not Pepper, it's not Vellner. He's been on a card. Superstar.
It's all right. You won't be able to guess. There's just too many.
It's just too many.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, we've had some great guesses.
Else is guessing. It's not Bridges. We tried for Bridges, but no Bridges yet.
No, that's because you're friends with Hiller.
There's my official guess.
Yeah.
Jay Crouch.
Nope. We already did Sprague, but no, it's not Crouch. Bigger.
Bigger field.
And not in stature.
Not in stature.
Oh. Then we go Colton, but you've already done a Colton card. So you go, no. Yeah. I'm thinking Adler.
Philtoon.
He is bigger. Philtoon, he is bigger.
Yeah.
That hair growth stuff isn't working though for him.
Okay, well, if people want a Philtoon one, Roman being guessed. Do you think if we throw enough,
talk to you to get a Roman card?
Well, I don't know. Your Russian might be really good. We know so little about you. You're one of the people we know less about than me, which is great.
It is great. I like that too.
Yeah, I don't even know your last name.
I swore off podcasts for a long time. Yeah, and I don't want anyone to know my last name either. So
yeah. See, I thought I'd kept mine pretty well hidden, and then Lauren Khalil
just for fun
blurts it out on.
For fun, I'll say it's Froning. We'll say my last name's Froning just for fun.
Nick Froning.
There you go. Nick Froning. I like it. Really.
Okay, so we know it's not Roman Adler. What's interesting is we say like bigger star now.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't Roman, but I mean.
Oh, okay.
No, I just said who would I even talk to, but no, it's not Roman.
Pretty sure even if we guessed it, we're not gonna get the head nod.
No, you know what? It's when you get that like when he says no, 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 and then
no.
well, I wouldn't tell you even if you got it right. You're like, well, hold on a second. Why didn't you say no?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that one.
I'll tell you this. Someone guessed it. I'll tell you that. That's it.
Someone guessed it. All right, people, stop guessing. I'll go back through the live chat later and it's
But it
Yonakovsky.
narrows it down to like 10 people. Right? So it's all right. Oh, you guys will know soon. I could tell you after. I could DM it to you.
Oh, do that. That will annoy people. Yeah.
Ooh, yes. Can I get the DM too?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I said it was big,
I
and
feel like
people are
such an
guessing
insider.
Hatfield.
Yeah.
This is so good.
This is the
I
most
don't know why
inside
people are
we've
guessing
ever been.
Hatfield. Is Hatfield that big?
I feel like he's crushing it right now on the leaderboard.
I mean, he's crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Will the guesser of the name get a free card?
Barkley.
Maybe. I don't know who. I don't know who some of these people are. Historic Fitness. I don't know who that is.
Oh, is that who? Oh, is that who guessed it then? Right.
I'm gonna tell you. So you can see.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay, guys, stop
Yeah.
guessing. It's not. We don't need to know. We don't need to know. Let's leave Nick
we
alone.
don't.
Stop bullying him.
Yeah, leave him alone.
You know, he's very
Yeah.
sensitive. He doesn't like people making fun of him, and he would never do it to anybody else.
I love it. I love it.
You can DM me. Yeah. DM me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we better wrap this up, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today, Nick, whose name we do not know, but we will go with WODZombie because it rolls off the tongue, and our dear friend and owner of CrossFit Fairfield, Mr. Keith Knapp. Next week we'll be live again, slightly earlier. It'll be at 6:30 in the UK, which is 1:30 p.m. Eastern and 12:30 p.m. Central, I believe. And I'll be joined by one guest that's been very vocal in the comments and probably knows who the card is, because it will be the hoarder of stats, Mr. Barkley Dale himself. And joining us will also be hot off doing very well unofficially in quarterfinals, at least within the European region, Ella Wilkinson. So join us for a fun chat with them. Thank you once again, Keith. Thank you, Nick. And thank you to everyone in the comments. And, you know, don't worry about who's going to be on the card because we don't know yet, but we're going to learn very soon. So hopefully I'll see you all next week for the live show.